The art community on TikTok sucks. I have a lot to say about this, so strap in. Now let me preface this by saying this is not meant to discredit any good experiences I have had with the community on TikTok. I've been so lucky to meet so many of my wonderful art mutuals from there, and it is where my account is the biggest. To all of my supporters on there, I love you all. Now to give some background, we need to start at the beginning. TikTok came out in 2016, and I didn't join the platform until 2019. So take any blanket statements I say with a grain of salt. TikTok was not created to be an art platform. You can easily see the truth behind this due to the structure of the app. It is a video-based platform. Outside of animation, of course, art is largely picture-based. TikTok didn't even add the picture post feature until 2022, just barely 2 years ago. Most platforms that saw large artistic growth up until the release of TikTok were things like Instagram or Twitter, other mainly picture-based sites, with exception of YouTube, of course. With all this in mind, it's very difficult to grow as an artist on TikTok. Some of the most followed accounts on TikTok have nothing to do with art, so it's not a stretch to claim that most users on the app may not really care about the art side of TikTok. Even so, because of the way the TikTok algorithms operate from my observation, if a video gets big enough, regardless of how your For You page is crafted, you will probably see the video. This can cause some issues. As I said earlier, I have been on TikTok for about 5 years. I've been doing art for about 20 years, and currently, I'm happy with my art. Of course, I can still recognize I have room for improvement. Even so, I feel secure in the idea that I am proud of my art. I like the way it looks, I'm happy with it when I create it, and I love sharing it with people. That being said, being on TikTok, I've had some pretty upsetting experiences sharing my art there. For example, somewhat recently, I did a series where I redrew some Teen Titans Go designs in my style, and the series did pretty well, getting between 5,000 and 80k views per video. Because it got exposed to so many people, of course it got shown to people that would hate it, but some of them felt compelled to leave comments about it. While rude comments do sting a bit, like I said, now I'm confident enough that they won't affect my opinion of my art style for longer than the initial upsetting experience. But it wasn't always this way. When I was younger, probably around the age of 12 or 13, I was obsessed with improving my art. I would draw for hours every day. I would watch countless speed paints on YouTube, trying to figure out why exactly my art didn't look like theirs. Improvement was the only thing on my mind at the time. I remember one very clear memory from that time in my life, where my mom found me crying over my sketchbooks because I hated the way my art looked. I was so angry that I couldn't draw like all these other artists that I loved. I was angry that my art wasn't improving fast enough by my standards. Luckily, I had my mom, who sat me down and explained that everything I created was unique to me, which is what made it special. She explained that while I wasn't happy with my progress all the time, improvement shouldn't be everything, and that there are healthy ways to go about viewing improvement with art. It shouldn't be an end-all be-all. I'll connect my personal experience to this whole discussion later, but for now, let's bring up the issue at hand. TikTok users are bullying artists off of the platform. For those of you that may not know, an artist going by the user Cassie Pillar created a post showing off their art improvement. They posted these 2 photos displaying their year worth of improvement. Many of the 21,000 comments seem to disagree that they had improved. The comments on the video are filled with things like, "The old one is so much better," "Puppy-chan," or "art regression." For some context, Puppy-chan is an artist who became widely known for their art regression. This is one of the original tweets that started that, but you can find countless posts discussing their so-called art regression. Also, as a side note, I do not condone any of Puppy-chan's actions. I'm simply explaining this for context of the video. When people comment Puppy-chan, they are implying that the older art was better in their opinion. Now, I'm not here to debate whether Cassie Pillar's old art or new art is better. I really like them both for different reasons. At the same time, I'm not a toxically positive person. Due to my personality, I simply am not one of those people that will say I love something if I don't. Some people find me rather blunt because of this, but you know what I've never been called? A bully. Bullying is not constructive criticism, and I'm tired of artists commenting things like this under perfectly good art under the guise of providing insight. If I find art on TikTok that I personally don't like, I scroll. I have news for the art community. If you find art that you don't like on TikTok, you can do the same thing. Just scroll past it. Go outside, touch some grass, grow a backbone, and quit discouraging people from creating. Sure, it's not just the art community that is participating in hate like this. Like I said earlier, due to the TikTok algorithm, there are plenty of people that aren't artists that will stumble upon this video and others that have been ridiculed similarly. Even so, the art community should be there to create a buffer against those negative comments, not contribute to them. They should be there to be a barrier against hatred for younger artists, less experienced artists, artists with unique art styles, or brand new artists. The whole reason it is called a community is because it is meant to be just that. A fellowship of people that share common interests, goals, and hopes. A community is no longer a community when it attacks its own people. Not to sound old, but because of the increase of social media usage in our day and age, younger artists are exposed to a larger and larger community every day. I would have killed to have such a thriving and interactive art community when I was 12. All I had was my friend group from middle school. We all liked My Little Pony, and that was enough for us. How cool would it have been to have tens, hundreds, thousands of people to share art with and discuss my creative interests? But then, I look around at the current state of the art community, and I don't think that would have happened. What if I didn't have my mom's support? What if 12-year-old me decided to take a brave step and share my art to a bunch of strangers, and instead of hearing positive and encouraging things about my creativity, I was met with comments like the ones so many young artists on TikTok receive? I can tell you what would have happened. I would have quit. And it's not just a hypothetical, because it has happened and will continue to happen unless something changes. And I know there are so many people that watch this happen and go, "It's social media, you can't control what people say, just ignore it." And to this I say, shouldn't we strive to change? I don't mean to wax poetic or anything, but seriously, shouldn't we strive to make a healthy, welcoming, and thriving community for the larger population? Also, I know how rude comments I get make me feel right now, when I'm secure and capable of ignoring it, and they still hurt. Of course you can't control what people say, but you can control what you say. With that, I would send a plea to the art community to have some compassion. Put yourself in other shoes. Think of how your younger self would have felt to hear things like what so many of these younger artists are hearing. Choose to lift people up rather than bring them down. Make it a community, not a competition. Well, that was a bit of a heavier video, but I really had to get it off my chest. I know rant videos aren't the most insightful at times, but here we are. I hope this video was at least entertaining to some extent, and hopefully I will see you all in the next one.